So let me tell you about the revolution in electronics, or we may say the start of a new era in electronic technology. It all started when John Bardeen, Walter Brattain, and William Shockley at Bell Labs decided to create a new amplifier better than the one created by Graham Bell. The invention of all transistor revolutionized electronics and paved the way for computers, cell phones, and other electronic devices. Before the transistor was invented, vacuum tubes were used to amplify and switch electrical signals. However, vacuum tubes had several drawbacks. They were relatively large, required a lot of power to operate, and generated a lot of heat. Transistors, in contrast, were much smaller, required less power, and generated much less heat. In 1951, the first commercial transistor was produced by Texas Instruments. It was called the solid-state transistor and was used in hearing aids. Soon afterwards, transistors began to be used in radios, televisions, and other consumer electronics. In 1960s, transistors were used in mainframe computers and quickly replaced vacuum tubes. In 1970s, transistors were used in integrated circuits and were used in smaller and smaller devices. By 1990s, transistors had become a major component in personal computers and cell phones. Today, transistors are found in almost all electronic devices, from calculators to cars. To understand how transistors work, we must first look at the three terminals that make up transistor: the base, collector, and emitter. The base is the input terminal and is responsible for controlling current flow between the collector and emitter. The collector is the output terminal and is responsible for collecting current from the emitter. The emitter is the ground terminal and is responsible for releasing the current. When a current is applied to the base terminal, it creates a voltage differential between the base and the emitter, allowing current to flow from the collector to the emitter. This is known as forward biasing. When the voltage applied to the base terminal is reserved, the current flow is blocked, known as reverse biasing, which makes it a switch that is controlled using an applied current to the base. Transistors can also be used to amplify current. When a small current is applied to the base terminal, it causes a much larger current to flow between the collector and emitter, allowing the transistor to amplify the current. This process is known as transistor action. So how exactly does the transistor revolutionize the technology? The transistor is a key component in all modern computers, allowing us to process data faster, store more information, and allow for more complex algorithms to be run on computer. The transistor is essentially a switch that can be used to turn electronic signals on and off, and this is basically the language of the computer. Off and on means zeros and ones, so that means that we use the transistors as storing devices to run the computer. The transistor continues to evolve and be used in more and more devices. Researchers are currently working on graphene transistors, which are made from a single sheet of carbon atoms and are extremely small. In the future, transistors may be used in even more devices, such as medical implants and robots. The invention of the transistor has revolutionized the electronic industry and brought us into the digital age. Without this revolutionary invention, many of the devices we use today would not exist.